Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of conflict or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Everyone, happy Monday. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to all of the new subscribers. Welcome back to all of my day ones and those that have been following me on this journey for the last year or so. And I would just like to thank you guys that we did reach our 15K. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a fabulous day. We have a few things that we are going to get into, and I don't want to keep you. Thank you so much for all of the congratulations again. If you want to donate to the platform, the information, my mods will put it in the chat. Of course, it's not mandatory, but it's always appreciated. That is my Cash App. So let's get into it. Welcome to everybody. You guys know I like to speak to you, but we got a few things to get into. I don't know if this is going to end up another part 1 and part 2, but as you guys know, we have been discussing Shirley Strawberry's husband, Ernest. I found a whole lot of other aliases since then too, but we'll get into that maybe on part 2. Allegedly. Who is the husband of Shirley Strawberry, who is the co-host of the Steve Harvey Morning Show. We have been trying to unravel all of these cases that Ernest Williams is currently facing. He is currently facing, I think it's 7 open cases now. But there were a lot of things that transpired that you all, the intellects, have asked me in the chat. What about this? What about that? Shirley had to know about this. Shirley had to know about that. And because of that, I've dug a little deeper into some of the things that we kind of touched the surface on. And the things that I found, I said, I'm going to bring it to you guys tonight. So without further ado, I just want to get right into it. So many of us know, and because you guys kept talking about it, that Shirley and Ernesto, since they've been married, have been evicted from several houses. So this is one of the houses right here. Beautiful. On Bent Creek Manor. It's in Alpharetta. According to the lease agreement that we have, they moved in there in or around 2019. This is also the house of which Ernesto, if you guys have been on his Instagram, which a lot of us have been over there lurking, he did a video regarding this, on this property. I'm gonna play that real quick for you.
Yeah, I done clean up everything in the house now. So the next thing I can do now is get out here and fumble around in the garage. See what I can come up with next. That's all I can do. Well, I'm gonna keep this thing going, man. Everybody got to sit in the house. So my thing is I just take my time, And thank God for everything He's done for me and what I've done in my lifetime. But my true job and my true passion now is to continue motivating people. You can do anything you want to do. People, let's take all the time and figure some things out to do better. I'm going to be okay. I believe in God. I know you do too. Continue blessing others. You get yours as well. Amen to everybody.
Okay, so this was a post on Nesto Buckhead's Instagram for those of you guys that haven't took your nosy selves over there. And it was posted on March 29th of 2020. And so we know that this is the same house because as I showed you guys the picture, but also we were able to pull up the lease to the home, and they moved in that house in, I think it was 2019. Yeah. They moved in this house. It has December 9th of 2019. And we'll get into these proceedings on how they ended up out of that house by 2021. This house was in Shirley Strawberry's name only. And there were a few interesting highlights as well, such as she moved in. She said that she was going to be the only one moving into this home. She said that, you know, they talked about that you can't have guests. That's, you know, once you got guests staying there for a certain period of time, that's you subletting, which is a substantial violation of the lease. There's a lot of information that I was able to garner from this lease. So as you guys know from other commentary, they were eventually evicted from this place, okay? So the actual eviction first took place, it was October. Let me pull it up. They got an affidavit of eviction that they received on, it was filed on October 23rd of 2020. It was actually filed on October 9th of 2020. So while he was up there cleaning out the pool and all of that, apparently he hadn't paid. They ended up getting behind on the rent. So what it has on here is that this time in October 9th of 2020, they were a couple of months behind. So they were September and October behind on their rent. So they owe $7,600. It's pretty decent for that kind of house. So it also shows that who was served. So when the sheriff went to serve this notice of eviction, it said it was notoriously, and they underlined it, which means, you know how some people, they're like, they know they're being served, and so they just drop it or they do whatever to avoid service, but they think that's not considered service. It's still service because I gave it to you. Regardless, throw it up in the air, catch it. Doesn't matter what you do with it, you've been served. So they marked it as notoriously upon an individual residing at the premises named Ernest Williams. And then they said, basically, they give his height, weight, and all of that. So I go further into the documents. Because I just was like, oh, this is an eviction. It is what it is. So from that point, I said, well, it looks like Shirley wasn't even served this eviction because it was served on Ernest. So then someone, I'm not going to say Ernest because I don't know, someone responds to this eviction. So they give what we call an answer. So you're supposed to answer whenever someone serves you with a document, you are supposed to answer that document. So he answered it. And originally his answer was just looks like a form, perhaps in the magistrate court for the Superior Court of Georgia, Fulton County. It says, I am the defendant. I am filing the answer and I state the following in response to plaintiff's claim in the lawsuit. My landlord did not give me the proper notice. that my lease or rental agreement was terminated in accordance with the terms of our lease. The landlord did not properly demand that I move before filing the lawsuit. So then they also check, my landlord is not entitled to evict me or secure a money judgment for the following additional reasons. So he attaches it, or she, he, whoever wrote this. And it says the following statement from defendant Shirley Strawberry, because she's the defendant, regardless to Ernesto being there. According to the lease, Ernesto was not supposed to be there. It was supposed to just be her. When this lease was signed, whoever signed it or however it went, it was that Shirley Strawberry was going to be the only resident. So it has defendant statement. I talked with my landlord about my substantial amount pay cut due to the coronavirus. I have presented the documents they asked me for to show proof of my pay cut. They have let me know they have received the documents and it has been verified. I have also presented along with the documents of any of my pay cut when I will be able to pay my rent in full. We also have filed for multiple money assistance for this unexpected issue. So he's saying he has a defense because allegedly what he's saying is that Shirley's pay, Shirley's her rent, her pay got cut because of the coronavirus. So she's trying to get all this assistance. Now, this was filed October 29th of 2020. So there was a hearing that was set February 1st. I want you guys to keep these dates. There was a hearing that was set on February 1st of 2021. At that hearing, before the hearing was filed, an attorney comes in, okay? An attorney allegedly comes in, and this attorney amends the answer to be a little bit more thorough. So they give their factual background. Defendant moved in the property on or about December 2019, as we saw in the lease. Defendants and plaintiffs signed a contract titled Lease for Residential Property, agreement containing a 2-year lease period. Defendants paid $7,775 upon signing this agreement. Despite defendants providing plaintiff with CDC declaration as well as attempted to provide partial payment, plaintiff is attempting to illegally evict the tenant and take possession of the property. That whole language just threw me off. I'm like, who wrote this? Plaintiff filed an affidavit for dispossessory proceeding. Plaintiff on behalf of Vista Ray USA on or around October 9, 2020. Plaintiff failed to submit designation of agent for bid. So they just coming in with a bunch of stuff to throw up against the wall. But their main argument is they're trying to say they shouldn't have been evicted because of the coronavirus. So then I scroll down because I was just curious, like, who in the world talks like this? So then I look and I see they have the prayer for release, and it has on here April Holloway as the attorney. Now, if you guys have been following this saga, let me remind you who this alleged April Holloway is. April Holloway. Let me pull it up for you. I cannot make this stuff up, man. I was like, what? April Holloway, remember, I pulled up the magistrate court of Fulton County, and it had on here where I was trying to see what Ericka King was accused of with the whole acting like she's an attorney. It has on February 7th, 2022, Ericka King appeared. Now, this isn't the same time because this is February 7th, 2022. Ericka King appeared at magistrate court of Fulton County representing herself without authorization as attorney April Holloway, defending her client Ernest William, friend of 20 years. So then I said, self? Well, maybe this was Shirley's lawyer, and she just had, they remembered the name, and they said, well, we just gonna repeat this name again. So that was, that's what I was thinking. So then I said, well, let me look further into these documents. So I look further into the documents. And so I'm pulling out some exhibits from the plaintiff, which are the people that own the property. So the plaintiff has attached, she attached a bunch of different conversations. So these are the exhibit list of the conversations. So these are the conversations. So I want you guys are the intellects, tell me what you think related to these conversations. So this is supposed to be a text message from Shirley. So this is the landlord. I will hold off with eviction till after tomorrow if you can pay current. Balance with certified funds. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you so very much. Who talks like that? Thank you so very much. Okay. Hello, Shirley. Did you know what time you might be able to stop by the office? Around 4:00 p.m. today. Great. Thank you. You're welcome. Hi, Dawn. My apologies. I cannot make it today. I will have a cashier's check for you tomorrow. Dominique, you guys remember that name, Dominique, in one of those documents I went over? We'll call you about September rent. She has the receipt for payment. Hi, Don. I'm running about 30 to 45 minutes late. So then they're like, hey, Shirley, are you about there? Hello, Shirley. I understand that you couldn't make it last week, but need to let you know that I had to go ahead with filing for the dispossessory. Once you are able to pay the balance of $8,370, then we can stop the eviction. The law does not allow us to accept partial payments during this time. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. So I'm going to read these. I don't know. It might be out of order. Not right now, but Ben is in the office. Dominique says she dropped it off, but no payment. Shirley, do you have any idea what's going on with your payment? This is going to be quite time consuming. Shirley, did you know how soon you can get to the office today? Hi, Don. I'm planning to get there around 3:00 this afternoon. Okay, please do. Last week we had to stay late waiting. Thanks. Okay. Good afternoon. Is there any way I can stop by tomorrow and resolve this myself? I would greatly appreciate it. I will hold off with eviction till after tomorrow if you can pay current balance with certified funds. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you so very much. Hello, Shirley. Didn't know what time you might be able to stop by the office. Around 4:00. Great, thanks. You're welcome. So on September 10th, they have a note, dear Shirley, and look. If you look at the email, it's Dominique, and then it has the rest on who they're actually talking to. Dear Shirley, you are hereby notified that a check or instrument number EFT issued by you September 5th, 2020 has been dishonored. This has been the second time a payment has been returned for insufficient funds. Our policy denies the services to make payments by EFT when 3 or more reverse payments occur. Please resubmit your rental payment with the late fee and NSF fee of $35 once the funds are available. Dispossessory filing commences by the 15th of the month. Thank you. And that's her management company. And then this right here is just the notice that of the dispossession that they're about to dispossess the property. So then someone files a form, the CDC form, basically saying that under oath that you have suffered some type of coronavirus loss. And it was signed by Shirley on October 12th, and apparently it was submitted to the management company. So they say, dear Shirley, to avoid, let me see, wait a minute. On behalf of the property owner, we are writing to you in regards to the CDC moratorium. This order has presented the guidelines required for renters who qualify as a covered person. The credentials below must be adhered to and verified by every individual who has signed the CDC declaration. To avoid a court order overruling the temporary halt of eviction, You are required to provide adequate documentation proving the guidelines of the CDC declaration in which you have signed. This information must be received in our office within 7 days from the date of the notice. And so then it gives you all the list of all the documentation, and it's signed by those people over there at the at the company. So then we go further down, and they have another hello, Shirley. This is October 12th. I understand that you couldn't make it last week, but need to let you know that I had to go ahead with filing the dispossessory once you are able to pay, and then it has the amount that was due at that time. And then they also attach the they also attach his answer or whatever to their exhibit. So this is to let you know that there was some bounce checks or whatever that were happening. Apparently, this person, Dominique, ended up being the person that was doing a lot of the business as it pertains to this home, allegedly. So we continue. So then on February 1st of 2021, there was a hearing that took place, and guess who shows up? We're going to know it when we read this order. So there was an order and a judgment that was entered. Amended final order and judgment granting the plaintiff writ of possession and granting plaintiff money damages of $15,000 against the defendant tenant. This matter came before the court as a regularly scheduled case on the magistrate court dispossessory calendar for February 1st of 2021. Prior to calling the calendar, the court became aware that defendant's counsel, Miss April Holloway, had experienced a serious family medical emergency the evening before the court. The court offered a continuance, which was declined by Miss Holloway, and Miss Holloway did not make a motion for a continuance thereafter. The court then proceeded to conduct a hearing on the plaintiff's request for possession and money damages. The plaintiff was represented by Miss Dawn, a lease and property manager employed by the plaintiff. She appeared in court as stated. The defendant was represented by attorney April Holloway. The defendant herself did not appear. So on this February 1st, 2021 hearing, Shirley Strawberry was not there. It should be noted that the defendant was not excused from appearing by the court, nor was her reason for not appearing satisfactorily explained. Attorney Holloway appeared via Zoom and was accompanied by a man identified as Mr. Ernest Williams, who was identified as the defendant's husband. Williams was not a party to the lease, as only the defendant signed the lease and was permitted to reside therein. At the outset, the tenant failed to appear at the time of the hearing, so thus they entered the default judgment because she wasn't even there. But as attorney Holloway noted, since the parties were present and she did not intend to move for a continuance on any ground, the court commenced the hearing. After being sworn as witnesses, the plaintiff's representative presented a copy of the lease signed by both the landlord and plaintiff and the defendant intended, which contained a paragraph stating that the defendant was the only party authorized to occupy the premises. During the hearing, the court heard and considered testimony that others were living in the subject residence in violation of the lease term, including the defendant's husband, Mr. Williams, who was present at the hearing. So, she didn't even show up. But you, Mr. Williams, in your infinite wisdom, said, I'm going to talk on her behalf and I'm going to do all this stuff on my own. And you wasn't even supposed to be in the house, let alone there to fight on her behalf. There was no objection from the defendant's attorney to the court considering the lease. The court finds that Ms. Pomplowski, that's Don, testimony credible. The court further finds that lease identified only the defendant as being authorized to occupy the property. Thus, the court finds that the plaintiff proved by preponderance of the evidence that the defendant had violated the lease. Additionally, Don stated that the lease reflected a monthly rental payment of $3,800 due from the tenant. Don stated that the landlord had not received rent for the months of October, November, and December, and January. So now they sitting in this house and all this rent is just accumulating because this is a February 1st hearing. The plaintiff claimed damages of unpaid rent totaling $15,200, which the plaintiff elected to voluntarily cap at $15,000. The defendant, through her attorney, Ms. Holloway, offered a CDC declaration as a bar to any eviction of the defendant. The Centers for Disease Control, via its federal statutory authority, has issued an order commonly referred to as the CDC moratorium and officially called this HHS CDC, temporary halt and residential eviction to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. So basically, it temporarily will halt the rent from September 4th, 2020 through January 31st of 2021. And it was extended by that time to March 31st of 2021. So, they kept extending it depending on what was going on with the pandemic during that time. So then the court goes on to quote what is in this CDC declaration that I just showed you. I certify under the penalty of perjury that the foregoing are true and correct. I have used best efforts to obtain all available government assistance for rent or housing. I either expect to earn no more than $99,000 in annual income for calendar year 2020 and 2021, or no more than $198,000 if you're married, filing joint. And it says the defendant filed this October 12th. So then it got other provisions that they put in here. So it has. During the hearing, the landlord's representative, Don, presented a document to the court without objection from the defense that appeared to be a payroll advice for the employee of Shirley Strawberry. And she indicated the defendant had voluntarily provided this. Okay, she voluntarily provided this. Now, the document for the CDC specifically says how much you have to make in order to qualify for this. So she presents a check stub from October 1st through October 15th to be $8,805. The advice also shows that the net pay for that calendar year was over $210,000. $210,277.01. Therefore, this court concludes that the defendant knew that her sworn statement on the CDC declaration was false at the time she made it, because the defendant had already exceeded the income limits contained in the CDC declaration before she made the declaration under oath. Simply put, the defendant is not entitled to utilize the CDC declaration because she far exceeds the maximum permissible income level. This court finds the defendant's CDC declaration not credible. So again, and the judge signed this order on February 8th. This was an amended order, but this hearing was on February 1st. So again, once I read this, I said, well, let me go back and see. Let's go check on our girl Ericka to see when she caught these cases, okay? So if you look on here, you will see, and I'm going to pull this right off the website. Let me see. Let me log in real quick. We know that in February of 2022, according to the document, Ericka was posing as an attorney, and she called a case for representing Ernest. And when I looked at it, I saw that she had some other dates that were on there as well. So that's what we're going to pull up now. This is from the Fulton County court records. Ericka Hughley. If you look here, you see dates. Forgery in the first degree, February 1st of 2021. What was the date of that hearing? Knowingly filing a false document, February 1st, 2021. Knowingly file a false document, February 3rd. Impersonating another in the acknowledgement of February 1st, 2021. Forgery in the first degree, February 1st, 2021. Forgery in the first degree, February 3rd. Aggravated identity felony, February 1st, 2021. Aggravated identity fraud, February 1st, 2021. Aggravated identity fraud felony, February 3rd. Aggravated identity fraud felony, February 3rd. False statement, February 1st, 2021. Unauthorized practice of law, February 1st, 2021. And then we have the ones that we see from February 7th of 2022. So my question is, I'm trying to understand how Ernest was on these jail calls acting like she got all these charges and that ain't got nothing to do with me. How does it have anything to do with you when you were the one at the hearing, allegedly? And apparently, it seems to me, based on my assessment, you guys assess it how you want to. I'm not trying to make my opinion yours. It appears that Ericka Hughley was acting like she was April back in February 1st, 2021, in the hearing for the eviction of Shirley Strawberry. That's what it's looking like to me. You guys let me know what it's looking like to you. But I mean, it's just a coinky dink that you was impersonating somebody on February 1st of 2021, but you were in court in February 1st of 2021 too, and it's the same April Holloway. So then it's just, so I said, okay, well, perhaps, guys, I said, well, maybe she was not, because if you guys are just joining, and make sure you hit that like button on the way in, subscribe if you haven't done so already. In the beginning, Ernest was the one that took service. He took the service of the document. So I said, well, maybe she didn't even know that all this eviction stuff was going on, which is possible during that time. And what ended up happening, and I'm not going to pull up all those documents, but what ended up happening, guys, is they consistently appealed this case. They appealed the decision of the court, and they were able, they being Ernest and Shirley, I'm sure, were able to stay in this house till around July or August of 2021. August or whatever 2021, till the sheriffs came knocking on their door. They kept appealing this stuff, and what it did, though, it didn't help the situation, it made it worse. So they ended up amassing from, now this started out with $7,000, as you guys seen, what, $8,000, give or take a few dollars. She ended up owing, pull up what she ended up owing. I just couldn't believe it. She ended up owing, like, let me see. Make sure I get the right number to you guys. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. I see you guys. And for the cash apps, I appreciate that as well. So they went through all of these shenanigans only for her to end up owing way more money than when she started. So you end up owing, this is a garnishment. So $44,000 is $47,051.20 was the balance due, which consisted of $44,000 principal and 8% post-judgment interest of $3,051.20 playing these games. So the whole point is, if you didn't know in the beginning, they literally garnished her wages from where she works at right now. So you had to know, at least by this time, what story did this man tell you where you said, okay, they're taking 44,000, garnishing my wages because he done played these games for almost a year, not paying and trying to find things wrong to stay in the house rent free and trying to do these COVID moratoriums and all this stuff that you were trying to do. What was he telling you? Because I can really give it to her that in the beginning, it really looks like she wasn't present for any of these hearings. She wasn't present for that hearing on Zoom. Why Ernest showed up and she didn't show up is beyond me, because you weren't even supposed to be in the house. So why are you showing up on her behalf? There wasn't, according to the judge, a good enough excuse why Shirley wouldn't have been there. So I would surmise it was because they were trying to keep it from her, that they were in this predicament. But you had to know, once that garnishment started coming, to take your wages. That's crazy to me. So that's the rent portion. I was outdone when I said, okay, so to me, it looks like, based on looking at Ericka's charges and lining them up with what was going on in the courts on those days, it looks like that's the Zoom hearing that she jumped on and was representing Shirley and must have been got caught, must have got found out about. And it may have been, I just keep going back to that jail call where she's like, who's Ericka? Who is this Ericka person? You know that lady? So if they were listening to the calls, that's probably why they told Shirley. Half the police were trying to tell her, like, baby, you may not know this man like you think you know him. You said she would have to sign a form stating she knew this garnishment was taking effect. You said make it make sense. You don't think she knew she was being garnished? Okay. Where was the money coming from then? So who do you garnish if you don't know that you're being, like, how do you, because she turned in her check stub, so they knew exactly where to get the money. So that means your HR person has to notify you to tell you, hey, this is going to be a reduction in your check because they're garnishing your wages. So I don't understand that statement, but I got you. So then I was also just looking at, we talked about Ernesto's 2015 arrest. So we were trying to figure out, well, what cases, it looks like perhaps there was a 2015 arrest and then perhaps the 2022 where Ericka was posing as his attorney. So that may have been another case than the one he has now. Because if you recall, Shirley said he's been arrested 3 times since they have been married. So we were, those sound like they might be the 3. So I was able to get the arrest report because I was just curious on how he acts, when he gets arrested, and maybe perhaps Shirley isn't there when he got arrested. So let's pull this up real quick. Then I'm gonna let y'all go. I just can't, let me make sure it's redacted because they give all these people information when you asking for. Okay, yeah. So I had stuff with the information that I was just shocked was on there with some of the stuff I was requesting. Hold on a second. Um, this won't come up. All right. So remember, I was talking about all the different names that this man has. So it looks like his real name is spelled Ernest, because they have the aliases, as you guys see this plethora of aliases over here. Arnold Roderick J, Arnold Roderick, Roger Arnold, Favors, Marcus, Pittman, John West, Victor West, Victor Labar, Paul Will. They got Ernest Williams too with an A. They got Ernest L. Jr., Ernest Levert. They got Ernest Levelt. You guys see all these different aliases that they have on here for him. So what? So let's read the narrative. So this was an arrest that occurred in May of 2015, which was around 4 months after Shirley married him. So she married him January 9th of 2015. This was an arrest that occurred May 12, 2015. This is a document from the US, from the marshals. Okay. So it has on May 12th, 2015 at approximately 5:50. The deputies arrived at 700 Park Regency Place to execute a warrant. And it has both the warrant numbers. Those are the cases we already went over when I told you I found what the 2015 cases was or were on Ernest Williams. Upon arriving at the address, we made contact with the security officer, and she informed us that Mr. Williams was seen entering the building at 11:05 p.m. the previous night, but did not see him leave the building since. Lieutenant Davis informed me to wait in the lobby of the apartments while he moved his vehicle out of view, and we would wait on Mr. Williams to exit the building. As Lieutenant Davis was moving his car, Mr. Williams pulled up to the front of the building in a black BMW. I then immediately exited the building and stood in front of Mr. Williams' vehicle as Lieutenant Davis maneuvered his patrol vehicle behind Mr. Williams' BMW. I advised Mr. Williams to exit the vehicle, but Mr. Williams continued to move his vehicle closer to me. I pulled my weapon from my holster and advised Mr. Williams to put his hands on the steering wheel and put the vehicle in park. Lieutenant Davis then approached Mr. Williams and opened the driver's side door. Lieutenant Davis immediately placed Mr. Williams in handcuffs as he removed him from the vehicle. Mr. Williams was searched and his property was left with his wife at the scene. I said, oh. Mr. Williams was escorted to the Fulton County Jail without incident. So, Shirley, he was arrested in front of you in 2015. That was 5 months after you married him. 4 months after you married him. Then, another question you guys were asking now that we were talking about Ericka King. I know I'm shifting here. It's just so much. It's just so much. Was when we read that document and they were talking about Candy lived next door at, I think it was 980. The address, no, 9. She lived at 990. So at that address. So again, I asked for Ericka King, anything that went on Ericka King. And anybody that said that they believe that it was Ericka King, I think you guys might be right. Because if you request the document on Ericka King, they pretty much give you the same document that we read related to who signed the lease and all of that. Ericka and the name that was on there, and I'm going to show you guys. Can't make this stuff up. I'm going to show you guys this document of which, wait a minute. This is, remember the name Larry. So I'm going to go down to paragraph 9 because that's what related to. Remember, if you guys have not watched the previous video, we were going over an incident report, trying to get as much information as we could related to some of Nesto's claims or charges. And one of those, it was somebody named Candy that was the one orchestrating, and she lived next door at 990. So the actual owner of the house were Ernesto, and it said Ernesto, literally. It didn't have Ernest, any of those. It had Ernesto, and Sheridan's name was on there as signing the actual lease. That owner told them, well, the guy's name is Larry, who is the owner of the house next door where Candy lives. So as you guys see, they have a document where Larry and his wife are considered victims of forgery in the first degree. And it has Larry, who is 72 years old, and his wife is like 73. And that's where Candy was renting the house from. So we're going to go to paragraph 9. So it has Gooden, who is the officer, asked Mark if he was familiar with the owner of 990 PGR, Candy's residence. Mark provided Gooden with the owner's name as Larry and the phone number. Gooden made contact with Larry, and he agreed to meet with Gooden at Roswell Police Department. During that meeting, Larry advised that Candy is currently in arrears for rent in the amount of $13,500. On January 13, 2022, James and Candy signed the lease for 990 PGR that began on January 15, 2022. So this guy, these older people, they thought the name was Candy, but then you look down here at the actual suspects for this forgery, and who does it have? It has that James person who was on the lease with him, and Ericka Hughley Rothschild. So she may have been involved in the whole situation of getting that lease next door. But, and who is, there's more. Just one more thing. And I'm going to let y'all go. One more thing. So I was looking, I'm just trying to do my due diligence for you guys. Look this up again. I was looking here and at the 2015 case, since we just discussed that. And I noticed that pull this up because they kick you out so fast on this website. So I got to relog myself in. Go back. Here we go. When we were looking at this 2015 case that we just discussed, where I just discussed the arrest, this stuff, unbelievable. So I was just perusing through here when I was looking at his 2015 case. And this 2015 case has that 980 Pine Grove Road address on there. So apparently it looks like to me in my opinion, that Nesto has been affiliated with that address for some years. And probably when they don't pay or whatever they do, they go find some more names to put it in or whatever they do. And that may be why that lease was in Ernesto. And then he had to add, Sheridan's name or whatever on there. So this was a 2015 case, but the charges were from 2013, and the address they used on here, which was the last known address I assume the court had, was on Pine Grove. So that's it, guys. I can't give you no more. I can't give you no more today. Thank you guys so much for the cash apps. I hope you guys enjoyed the live and our investigations that we are doing on Ernest Williams. Thank you so much for all of the cash apps. Elaine, Lolisa, thank you, Sarah, Tara, and Bridget, and Beverly. I appreciate each and every cash app that you've given. Lolisa is out here balling. Thank you so much, Lolisa, for the big cash app. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all of your support. Let me see, before I get off here, I see if you guys have any other questions. I'm sorry, I know it was all over the place, but I just had so much stuff to talk. I couldn't believe it. You know how, like, you can't wait? You like, man, wait till I tell the Interlex this, what I was able to uncover. And it was like that. But I have a little bit more, so I'll probably be back in a few days, depending on how my schedule is. Thank you. I appreciate. Thank you. Those places could have been used to hold people. Ooh, oh, I should have read that before I put it up. Okay. Right. I don't think the attorney who quit wanted to be involved with this any longer. I wonder if the friend that introduced them was in on it. That's a good question, Lolisa. Latoya said, don't leave. Shaggy said this was a hell of an invest. Thank you, guys. I'm glad you guys appreciate it. Thank you for all of these cash apps. Shad B, I see you. I Chew, I see you. Thank you for becoming a member, NFL wife. Glamour, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alice. Thank you. Irene, thank you so much for the cash app. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't have got to 15,000 without you guys. It means you guys are enjoying the content. Can't even talk today. But as long as you're enjoying the content, I'm going to bring the content. So what you guys think about all of this? Some of this stuff was right in our face. I just had to read some of it and really put this paperwork with that paperwork and go online and cross-reference and re-reference, and yeah. If Mr. Williams never legally divorced his first wife, can she be held liable for any suits he might encounter? My apology if this is not an appropriate question. No worries. She needs to get that annulled. I'm just like, this is too much. Like, this is just what, but again, unless you just felt like he was some business, maybe he presented it to her, because I've been trying to rationalize in my mind. Maybe he presented it to her like, you're so busy, I'm so busy, we'll get a third person that handles all our business or something. And so she doesn't deal with any business, maybe. And I just can't see my name being on stuff, and I just don't know. But I'm a person that's going to check my credit report. I get alerts. I do all of that too, because you're not just going to use my little credit that I took so long to get right. So yeah, I don't, she needs to honestly get it. If she gets it annulled, and I think the police were trying to help her, because I think after they were looking at a lot of these documents, and they had his computer, remember they had a bag, they had a bunch of documents, they had a lot of stuff that they probably were able to piece together, like what we're doing over here, and be able to show. And we're just using what's public record. I can't imagine what information they already have. Like, we're not even privy to the evidence the alleged victims have. We're not even privy to the search warrants when they searched the homes and the cars and all of that. We're not privy to that. We only see the little bit that we saw in there about, the black toys and the Viagra and all of that. But that's just scratching the surface. Now, someone else did ask me about Shirley's vehicle as well. So, and I think there's some confusion. So, Shirley had a F-350 in her name, but it's clear that Shirley did not drive that vehicle. That was something that Ernesto drove. So that's why when they searched it and all of that, she was the only one that can go get it because it was in her name. So they were releasing it because they would even have a reason to, because it wasn't in, Ernesto's name. Now, Ernesto around that time, around 2021, while they going through all of this and trying to stay in the house and all of that, I believe he bought her a Benz truck. So that is the truck that got repoed, from my understanding, while they were and that was in his company's name. So even though she had that F-350 in her name, she didn't drive it. And if you listen to phone calls from prison yesterday, you would have gotten that understanding, because she didn't know nothing about that truck. Nothing at all. So, oh shoot, I'm sorry. I done dropped your cash out. Wait a minute. What's your question? You said, Pam, how long do you think it will take before he goes to court? Monday, he has a motion hearing. We don't know if it's going to go or not, but he's trying to still get out. Like I told you guys, he has an 800,000. He has bonds on most of his cases, but the $800,000 bond that he had for the child pictures, there's no bond. He can't pay it. Then the one on the alleged RA cases and SA and all of those egregious allegations, those he doesn't have a bond on. So he's supposed to go to a bond hearing to try to reduce that 800, because he's indigent, because he has a court appointed now. He does not have a paid attorney like he had in the beginning while he was bragging, to Sonya and all of that stuff. He does not have that anymore. So he's indigent, which means now I guess he probably qualifies for other programs to get. They have a 10% bail program in Atlanta, in Fulton County. And so I guess when you qualify after a while, if you spent so long in jail, that they'll reduce it. Because when I was there a couple of weeks ago, it was somebody that was in there for maybe 6 months, and he had bond, but he couldn't afford it. And so they reduced it further. And then I guess they were doing that 10%. I hope that answers your question. But in Fulton County, it's different than what I'm accustomed to. They apparently can have you in there. There are people in Fulton County that have been there for 7 years and have not been tried. So I can't, from a due process standpoint, I believe that he should be standing before somebody. But I think the way they do it is, you really, as long as they offer you a bond where you can get out, then they can hold you, because they don't, if you're pre-indictment, then in theory, I guess maybe the Speedy Trial Act doesn't kick in. I don't know what the thought process is, but there are people. I did a video on somebody that was there for like 7-8 years, and their coldies had all went to trial and they got acquitted. And he was still in jail. And I think he just had a trial after it went viral that he was in there as long as he was. And I believe it was a hung jury, and it was like a unaliving case or whatnot. I'm like, shoot, half the time they did all their time before they even stand before a judge. So I don't know. I'm very shocked that hasn't really been an issue like the ACLU has taken up. But I digress. You said, when did the lawyer quit? Oh, the lawyer quit a while ago. He has a new lawyer, and he had a lawyer. Remember, he was bragging about his Jewish lawyer, but then when we saw the hearing in June, by June he already had a different lawyer because he was a black guy. And then now I guess that attorney has been replaced by a court appointed, and she's a newer attorney as well, because I looked her up on LinkedIn or one of those places, and I want to say she started practicing last year or the year before. These a lot of cases, man. Maybe she's not going to represent him on all the cases. Maybe they divide it up. I don't know. I don't know how they do it, honey. The lawyer conned them. Oh, I'm sorry. These, you guys, okay, the lawyer conned them like they con others. These comments, I got it on slow motion and it's still going really, really fast. So, 2 years ago. I don't know what that's. I guess I got in the middle of a conversation. Hi, infamous Sylvia. Good to see you over here. Shirley is materialistic. No woman would keep a 20K ring with no car or no. That see, this is what, and that's gonna be for another live. That's kind of what was bothering me. It was like, where do you think this money is coming from? You're getting evicted from your home. I mean, he kept cars, different cars, saying he had a security company, and we seen how he was switching up these cars with these people or whatever. So he kept cars. But how can he afford $20,000 and a Benz truck, but he can't afford to keep you in a house? And your rent was only $3,000 and something dollars a month. That doesn't make any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So, what did the hired lawyer even do for him? That is a very good question because I didn't see him. All we hear on the phone calls, for those that watch phone calls from prison, shout out to them. All you hear on those phone calls is him basically saying he needs a lawyer to call him. His lawyer ain't came to see him, or them calling on three-way. But in some phone calls, he's like, my lawyer feel optimistic, so I don't really care. It just sounds like the lawyer didn't really know. I just can't see myself having a client and he's sitting in jail, and I know he's sitting in jail, and I'm not going to find out what's going on. That's crazy to me. Thank you, Joyce, for the cash app. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, Patricia, good to see you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Do you think that they submitted paperwork for another business as her place of employment and they're not garnishing the main job, but that other job maybe? Well, that is a very good analysis. I think that's very good for you to think in that fashion. But I was able to see the check stubs. And the check stubs look real authentic, which is what they talked about in the order. And the check stubs look like she make a whole lot. I think if they were going to use another entity, they would at least make sure that she qualifies for what they were trying to do. That made no logical sense to me, or unless nobody read what the criteria was or something. That didn't make any sense. But no, it was from it appeared to be her check stubs from her place of employment. Because I mean, if you're gonna doctor up a check stub, you're gonna make it where you would make it where it fits what you're trying to do, right? You wouldn't make it where you're making more money, like, so you don't qualify. You said he's not a sophisticated. I think he was lying to Shirley about the lawyer. That probably wasn't even a real lawyer she was paying on his behalf. Another scam. Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. Repping BK, New York. That's interesting. If I was an attorney, I would run the other way. I would not want my name and attention on him. Well, especially when you're court appointed, you don't pick and choose who you get. I've never done court appointed, but I do fill in a lot for my friends because it can get overwhelming. So I'll fill in. I don't do much defense at all anyway. I don't do any. Like, I just got someone called me today for it and was begging me to go ahead and get back on it. I have my moments where I'm like, oh, I miss it, because you get cases like this, But a lot of them, like the court appointments, they can't really pick and choose. If you start denying the cases and turning them down for whatever reason, you don't like the client, you don't like the charges, then they'll take you off their court appointed list. And a lot of sole practitioners that do defense work, about 85% of their work is usually court appointed. Like, even the top people that I know that do criminal law here, a lot of them still take court appointed work, because if all else If all else fails, you still have that court appointed work. So you think that's the was. Oh, I don't know about that, Natalie. The man got too many cases for any lawyer. Now, hopefully they combine them. But it is a lot. It's a lot of charges. It's definitely a lot of charges. Ernesto bragged about how good that attorney was. He just kept getting more charges. I slowed this chat down and it still feels like it is going way too fast. I'm sorry if you guys, I'm just like clicking on whatever it come on. 8,000 and they will stop the eviction. Exactly, Linda. That's what I said. It started out at $8,000 and then you end up getting garnished for 44,000. If that wasn't enough to piss you off to turn around, then nothing was going to piss you off because that's a lot of money. See, but if you guys remember when Shirley was talking to him, she said the police were telling her there were documents. Remember with Sheridan, when Sheridan said, I'm scared, I want to go down there because they're saying there are documents they have with my name on it. And she said, that's what they told me. That's what they do just to get you, down here to scare you. That's what she said. But literally, they probably had documents with your name on it, and they probably knew that it wasn't you who filled those documents out. Thanks for the hard work. I wonder what is going through Shirley's mind. You were doing all of her homework. Thank you so much, Karen, for the $10. And I thank you for your support over here. Again, I appreciate you guys. We got 15,000 and we just celebrated 12,000 a week ago, and then we hit 15,000. So thank you guys so much for acknowledging and appreciating the work that I have to put in for a lot of this stuff to go through all these documents. I'm not lying. Going through these documents, I get pissed off sometimes when I was going through that eviction stuff because a lot of people have talked about the eviction. So I'm not going to take credit like, oh, I knew she got evicted from this spot because Chronicle Speaks talked about it. Is it Love, Lies, and Lace Fronts? Or Bougie. I think they're the same. I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up. My apology. But there's a few people that talk about, grown woman vibe. They talk about this a lot. And I think they talked about the evictions, but you got to pay for this paperwork. Like each and every one that you download, you have to pay for it. So something just told me, like, you know what, there's probably some information that can hold the key and put some of the puzzle together when it comes to this. So that's why I went on ahead and today I spent a lot of the day just reviewing some of the documents so I could present it to you guys. So hopefully some of this stuff, makes sense. Again, it really to me seems like in a lot of these instances, Shirley seems like she didn't know. But then there comes a point where you have to know, because there's no way, again, they coming after my wages. And I'm not gonna know about it. That's just something that you just have to know. Now, did she know about the whole Pine Grove and all of that? Probably not. It sounds like Ericka was involved in that as well. But for him to downplay it the way that he was downplaying it on those audio, Ericka blue glue blue, you know her name. I mean, she was acting like she was an attorney. You knew that lady wasn't an attorney. What are you talking about? I just can't. So, Shirley wanted a millionaire lifestyle like Marjorie on 6-figure income. Thank you, Mel Stewart, for the $25. I appreciate it. Yeah. What I will say is it did seem like she, it's cool how she was praising Marjorie on one of those audio, the jail phone call that we heard. She was praising Marjorie on what she had. She's like, oh, I would love that. That would just be so nice and da 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 da. So I think it's like she did a lot of things willfully. Like if you so you can really say like I don't know. You know, I can say I really don't know because I'm not looking into it. So I really don't know. You know, thank you so much, DD Star. I appreciate it. So you really can say that you don't know because you're not looking into anything. And that's just what it seems like to me. Again, all of this is just my opinion. I'm going to present the documents and I'm going to let you guys take it the way you guys take it. You don't have to take my opinion. You can adopt your own. Ooh, Natalie. Oh, goodness. Jacqueline says Shirley knew something, probably didn't realize how deep and big the situation is. Well, she definitely knew she was getting evicted out them houses. She knew that. You know when you got the moving truck has to come in and you got to hurry up and move your stuff out. I wonder if that was the house. See, now I'ma look. Was that the house that the one lady we were talking about, SC, when he offered to put it in her house? Let me see. Y'all gonna keep me here all night with this Ernesto stuff. Let me see. Cause what was the date on that? He met her in September 19th of 2021. March 9th of 2022 was when he asked the other alleged victim if he could place some appliances at her house, stated that she was not at home. Yeah, that's the house. Wait a minute. I can't with you guys. Questions always got me thinking. Let's see. So if you look, this is the one with the first, I think this may have been part 1 of the documents. So it has on March 9, 2022, Williams called SC and asked if he could place some appliances at her home. SC stated she was not at home and that there was not enough room. Williams sent SC a photo of all the appliances, which were from the house located on Bent Creek Manor. This is the home Williams and his wife Shirley Strawberry lived in. Williams, so they moved out on March 9th of 2022. So she had to pay all those months of not paying since that's when they moved out. Yeah, this was the same day that William and his wife were evicted from his residence in Alpharetta. It's all coming together. Let me get off of here. You guys, I can't listen to your questions. Thank you again, guys. Willful ignorance. Yeah. Listen, you guys are too smart for me. Too smart for your own good. Again, thank you guys for the 15,000. Thank you for all the donations, all the congratulations. This is my Cash App if you guys would like to give. Thank you all for over 2,000 of you guys rocking with me tonight. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe if you have not done so already. We'll be back later on this week to do this again. I don't know if it'll be Shirley, probably will, but we'll see what we get into later on this week. But until then, I want you guys to enjoy your Monday. And I'll take care. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. If you did, make sure you throw up them hearts on your way out. And I am going to holler at you guys next time.